Okay, I think we're back. Technical difficulties, obviously, dealing with that as people filter back in. But we'll continue our show from here.
In there.
You were talking about when you look at offense versus defense, they blend together, right? So at what point do you need to balance offense that becomes good defense by simply possessing the puck and actually applying quality defensive forwards in your own zone?
Yeah, I think it's 100% of the time you got to apply yourself, and that's what the Avs have figured out. That's what I was saying before the thing went dead there. But the Avs have figured that one out. You have to check or you won't win. Nathan MacKinnon or doesn't matter, freaking Curtis McDermott back then, right? It doesn't matter. You have to know how to be conscious of your defensive side of the puck at all times. I think the Avs have figured that one out. And like I said, I was saying it's unfair for Nathan MacKinnon for us to judge him to say he's terrible. Which again, that comes out of our mouth a lot of time. I'm not defending that, but he never has to because he's always on the offense and he's that good. Doesn't have to. So he's never put in those situations. But when he is put in those situations, he does tend to struggle a little bit, which is fine. At the end of the day, he's the best player in the National Hockey League. But I think he is conscious. I think he is doing an effort, like the rest of the team to make sure that not cheating. He's not, you know what I mean? It's just his game is so different than anybody else on that roster but you need everyone on the same page to answer your question. Everybody's got to be on the same page. Everyone has to be conscious on the defensive side of things, or you won't win. You just won't. The Avalanche have won, and there's a reason for that because they're all conscious.
Yeah, I think honestly didn't expect to be doing this today, but I think you might be underrating MacKinnon against in like a late game defensive situation, because that's an area where he's actually been pretty good in his over the last couple of years. Just this last season, the Avs had that Nathan MacKinnon went out on the ice in 46 games in that situation, like against an empty net, where they were protecting a lead late. He finished on the ice, the Avs 16 goals for, 0 goals against. So
Fair.
that's a pretty good number. And 13 of those 16 goals, MacKinnon recorded a point on. So pretty good. And in the last 2 seasons, those numbers are he had 29 goals for and only 1 goal against. So he's only been on the ice in the last 2 regular seasons against an empty net. He's only been on the ice for 1 goal against. So
yeah, that's amazing. That is amazing.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean,
but it goes with my point. It goes with my point. Like, he's so good. He has the puck the whole game. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Saying you don't have the puck and you got to come out and make a decision, probably not his forte, right? You know what I mean? Because it's not
Totally.
That's kind of one of those things,
And that's why McKinnon's out on the ice in those situations, is because his speed is so dangerous that opposing teams, they're trying to hold the blue line. That's where a lot of those points get created, is because MacKinnon can skate into the neutral zone, and he's an absolute holy terror in the best of situations. But when you don't have a goaltender on the ice, it's like you're either about to lose the game for sure, or you go into pure panic. So it's like he's especially good in that situation, but at 5v5, he's a terrible defensive player, and I think we'll get into that. But he's a big he checks with his eyes a lot. And Eric, you mentioned cheating the game a little bit. I don't think he's cheating it. Like, I don't think he's doing it intentionally. But when we do talk about what makes a good defensive forward, the number one thing is effort. The number one thing is effort. You have to put in the work. And the second thing is hockey IQ. We've never in history talked about a good defensive forward and said, he's not a very smart player, though.
Oh.
You have to read the game at a really high level, but you have to want to put that effort in first and foremost. You got to be working. and then you combine that with hockey IQ, and that's why when we rank these Avs forwards defensively, we're gonna see the best combination of those guys are gonna be at the top of this list.
One last thing I want to touch on before we get into our tier list, and this is pretty relevant to the Avs specifically. I think it's fair to say that their best defensive forwards are, for the most part, wingers. Now, look, I've always been a champion of this era of the Avs, at least their forwards being essentially positionless hockey. For years and years before the injury, we saw Gabe Landeskog essentially do all of the stuff a center is supposed to do for Nathan MacKinnon on the ice. We see guys like Lehkonen being the defensively responsible one on those lines. We even saw in Landy's comeback, if you watched his games in the AHL, where just by nature, Landy is drifting down into the F3 position while whoever his center is in the AHL is looking at him like going, no, this is my job. This is what I do.
It's funny because it's like you were watching it and the guy it would be like, why are you here? Oh God, that's Gabe Landeskog. I must be doing something wrong. And it's like, no, this is just years of habits built into him.
Yeah, but maybe a topic for a different day with what I'm about to say. Do wingers deserve more defensive credit? Should they be in more contention for the Selke, given the modern game and a little bit less pressure put on the centers to do some of that?
Yeah, I think when you're talking about the Selke, it feels like it's really, really, really hard for wings to break into that. And yeah, their responsibilities are lesser than centers for the most part. But I just think everybody's a hater, man. Wings, there are some amazing defensive wings out there that deserve more credit. Landeskog being one of them, for the record, that deserve more credit than they've gotten in their careers. And some of the centers that get loved on for Selke stuff every year, you're like, he's good, but is he the absolute best at this? Like, no. The answer is no. And it also has become like this, like a guy like Jordan Staal doesn't get enough love here, in my opinion. That guy's incredible in his own zone, but he's not good enough offensively to drive some of the Selke conversation, which doesn't make any like. Can we go back to the days where John Madden won a Selke, like an actual like elite defensive forward?
I'm down.
That's what it should be, in my opinion. Like those guys, but yes, wings definitely are underrated in Selkies.
Well, Guy Carbonneau, yeah, there you go. But that's a real Selke. But it's more like it's more like we were so used to the Kopitar and Bergeron years, right? You know, they were winning it every year as centers, and I think they just took away from some of the wingers, you know, because those guys were so unbelievable.
It became a name contest. Once you've won one, you were shoo-in to be one of the finalists, basically. Like,
but those guys were legit. I mean, Bergeron, Kopitar.
Sure, they deserve some Selkies, but there were some years where it was like, we'll just give it to Kopitar again. Who cares?
Jiri Lehtinen, I agree
that guy was
with
awesome.
Wow, he's my
awesome.
lucky. He's my lucky. That's why I tell people, you want to learn how to play hockey, just watch Jiri Lehtinen. That's how I used to tell people back then. But for nowadays,
that's a good one.
Just watch Artturi Lehkonen. Same thing. Same player.
There you go. Just find a Finn. I guess Patrick Line exists. So there's some bad defensive.
Yeah, then he throws you.
That sounds like a dating website. Find a Finn.
Find a Finn. You've heard of Farmers Only.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do want to get into our tier list. We do need to take our first break of the show before we do that, though. So let's make sure we're doing that and paying our bills over here at DNVR, as you know. That's what we got to do. As we are brought to you by the fantastic folks over at First Bank. I don't think you can take Nathan MacKinnon's defense to the bank, but if you're looking for banking that plays at your pace, whether you're tailgating, grabbing halftime snacks, or catching the game from your couch, First Bank is in your corner. With their secure, easy-to-use mobile banking app, you can check your balance, split the tab for stadium nachos, and stay on top of your money anytime, anywhere. It's like having a financial MVP in your pocket. And here's the play that pays. You can earn $300 when you open a new First Bank checking account. Use it to score tickets to whatever your next sporting event might be, or whatever keeps your game day going strong. First Bank makes managing your money feel like a win. No games, just solid tools to help you stay in control right from your phone. Go over to efirstbank.com/bonus if you're ready to take your game to the next level. That's efirstbank.com/bonus. Of course, certain restrictions and requirements apply. Member FDIC. And once you've got your money from First Bank, go hit up the official vehicle of DNVR with Toyota. Not just our official vehicle, but the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche too. They've got a vehicle for everyone. They've made trucks forever, but they've got the SUVs, they've got the sedans, whatever type of vehicle you want. They've got 17 models with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, including things like the Epic 4Runner. You can get with Toyota today. They offer the most low and zero emission vehicles combined, more than any other automaker out there. That's 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, including even trucks that have hybrid like the Tundra iForce Max. So jump in with Toyota today. Visit your Front Range stores, including AutoNation Toyota, Rapid Centennial, Corbin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, Toyota, the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche and DNVR. Toyota, let's go places. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Let's jump into our tier list here. We have them in a semi-random order that we will just go through and rank S, A, B, C, and D, I believe are our tiers we have to work with. So first on the list, I think this is an interesting one to start with. Val Nichushkin, no doubt, very good defensive forward. At times in his career has been elite, but we've also seen his defensive acumen trend in the wrong direction over the past couple of years with the Colorado Avalanche. So I'm curious where you guys would place Nichushkin.
Yeah, I think this is the most complicated one. We're starting with the guy that I think reputationally elite defensive wing. We were talking about more Selke consideration for wings. Nichushkin a couple of years ago had to be at the absolute tip top here of guys that weren't given quite as much love as they should have. But last year, it's funny because last year, like, it's such a down year for him defensively from the peak of his career, but
Yep.
it's still not bad. It's not like he was ever he's a bad defensive player now. I think now he's just a lot closer to okay. And so I'm gonna average them out, and I'm gonna put him as a B right now, because I think that I'm concerned about the trend of him getting worse over the course of 2 years, but even then, I think even as a B, I'm still saying he's fine defensively, just nowhere near the like absolute dominant two-way player that we had seen for a couple of years in Colorado.
Well, it's kind of like A Wolf was saying right there. Like, he's a forechecking menace, kind of like what we're saying about Nate. Nate's got the puck the whole game. He's always in the offensive zone. Hard to judge him. You know what I mean? Val's the same thing. He's such a hound. He's such a forechecker. But I agree. I think he used to be a little more elite. I would slide him. I mean, if somebody said put him in A, I'd be fine with it. But B is more than fine too. I think he's an A, B in this category there.
Sky said it in the chat too. He's A minus B plus for me, right on that line.
Yeah, exactly.
So if AJ wants him in B, I'm good with him in B.
That's fine.
I think on Val specifically, we talk about this a lot. If he wanted to be a little bit more consistent with that defensive acumen, I think it would come down to the physicality. Because Val's a big guy. He uses his strength. We talk about this all the time. He can go into corners and win puck battles. But if he would blow guys up on occasion, I think it'd be a little bit easier to talk about him in the A or S category. So is what it is on that front. Move on to another highly touted guy, and there's one conversation I want to have in him, but I'll let you guys talk about him first. Logan O'Connor, obviously out with injury to start this season and was last season as well. But when he's on the ice, huge PKer for them. Obviously, great defensive acumen for where he's supposed to be in the lineup. So I guess the question with LOC is how much credit does he get for being so effective against maybe lower caliber of competition than someone like Nichushkin is rolling out against every night?
Yeah, I think that's a really important part of the LOC conversation is his defensive results are spectacular. From my mind, he's one of the best defensive wings in the NHL. But there is a reality here that his quality of competition is that of like a third line forward. He's chewing up defensively. He's dominating against bottom six guys. That's his job. Like that's what they're asking him to do. He's doing his job at a very, very high level. This is an easy. He has to be an S for me here. He's too good defensively. Not only a 5v5, but on the penalty kill, he is spectacular. And for my money, would be one of the 20 best defensive forwards in the NHL. The only thing holding me back from saying he's Colorado's best defensive forward is his quality of competition. He's not going up against tip-top lines every single night, and another guy on the team is, and that's it. But LOC is, LOC is everything that you want from a bottom six forward. He's the speed, the physicality, the try hard, the effort, the effectiveness defensively, and on the PK. The guy's a dream.
Yeah, and he's figured it out. He's figured out how he comes from undrafted, not an all-star in the NCAA. Brings some smarts and some speed to the pro game, and then figures out that that's his niche. That's his nest. You know what I mean? If he can figure that one out, if he can make this to perfection, the art of the simple play, then he's going to play. And he figured it out. And then he figured it out, like you said, really well, because 32 teams right now would take Logan O'Connor on their team. He's so smart, but he also cares about that side of the things because he knows, unlike Nate, he's not the guy that's going to have the puck on his stick and he's going to wow you and overpower you and this and this and that. So he has to be smart with where he goes, where his routes. He has to be smart with what he does with and without the puck. And again, he applies himself and he just makes sure that it's a big part of his game. And there's a reason he's a trusted forward by the Avalanche coaching staff. And, he's an elite guy, and he's an elite guy according to anybody in this league right now, I think. So he's definitely in the, S category? Yeah. So super.
Yeah.
Yep. The PK is the big separator, right? Because at 5-on-5, he's facing bottom six competition. On the penalty kill, he's facing team's best power play units. He's arguably, if not definitively, the Avs' best penalty killing forward. So it's hard to deny that. I'm perfectly good with placing LOC in S tier. So lock him in.
Yeah. That was an easy one.
Yep. Two on the board. This next one is interesting. I'm curious where you guys think, because Brock Nelson is a center. Not particularly good in the faceoff circle. Obviously hasn't spent much time in Colorado, just post-deadline and then the playoffs. Avs went out and got a guy like him more for his goal-scoring ability than defensive acumen or anything like that. But you also have him playing second behind Nathan MacKinnon, so you might be asking him to play a little bit more defense. Maybe not, though. Where do you put him? I don't know that you can put him even on pace with Nichushkin, but where do you guys have him?
I would have him in C. I've never really thought he was much of a two-way horse. He's a really good goal scorer. He's a good skater with great size. I've always felt like he should be better defensively than he is, but he's just never really been that good in his own zone. I don't think he's bad. Like, I'm not like, oh, he's. I don't feel terrible about him in the defensive zone, but I just don't think it's one of the selling points of his game. And he doesn't PK, and that's a important piece of this conversation to me. Is not so much that a coach doesn't trust him, but that uh, he's never really done it, so we don't see it. And I think that's a big part of your value when we're talking about really good defensive forwards. If you're not on the PK, that's a you go from S to A immediately if you're not on the PK.
I would put him next to Val. That's where I would have him. Part of the reason for that is I do believe he's got a 200-foot game. I do believe we didn't get to really see it. Just coming over the island, coming over from the east, a totally different thing. Been there his whole life and his whole NHL life. I've said it before. Remember drawing last year, the year before. Remember the 10 game. It's just your brain is not. You're not reacting. You're thinking, and as soon as you're doing that, you're screwed. You know what I mean? Because you're just a little bit behind. You're in the wrong place. So I do believe he looked a little bit lost a couple times, especially early in his career, because it is a system. So I'm going to give him. I do believe he is better than what he showed. I do believe this year being a full training camp and full everything, and if we can see him with Val and Gabe, like we're talking about, that could possibly be a line like it was in the playoffs at times. But I think you're looking at something pretty big. You know, I think you're going to see his true colors come out, and that's why I would put him at B with Val there. That's where I would have him for me.
Where I struggled to put him on Val's level is I think he plays 200 feet going north. When you have the puck, he's up the ice lickety split. He's getting you out of your zone well. But when he is stuck in his own zone, how well is he getting you the puck back? How well is he transitioning you to going the right direction? And that's where I think a lot of the struggles for Nelson come into play. Again, like it or not, there is more scrutiny when you are a center. It's going to be more on you to be able to do those defensive things as a forward in your defensive zone. And yeah, you know, he could show up next year and be amazing. It would not blow me away if his defensive numbers were significantly better next year in Colorado's system for a full season, especially getting away from Patrick Waugh's counterpunch offense, which I absolutely despise. But is he right now a quality defender? I would say certainly not in his own zone. I'll put it to you that way. So I think I would lean more towards C.
I do think that it is a fair context of saying he could be much better in Colorado than we saw him in New York, where they were asking him to play a really defensive system that did not tailor to his strengths as much as Colorado's system will. I think Colorado being, they want to get control of the puck, move it quickly out of the zone and through the neutral zone is going to be a strength of his, and I think it's going to make him a better defensive player because of it. He's going to get to play in a style that better fits him, so I like his ceiling going up in Colorado, but for the player that we've seen so far, I would say I would still put him in C, but if Eric really wants to fight us on it, I'm not going to throw a fit.
It's not hard to see. You put a line of Nichushkin, Nelson, and Lehkonen together and say, go forecheck, and good things are going to happen. Like, put it to you that way. Yeah. But I can't do it. I can't put him on the same tier as Nichushkin, so I'm going to put him in C. We're going to go with C on him. No F's here, right? D's get degrees, so everyone's getting a passing grade today. We'll put it to you that way.
Well, we're about to get to a couple of them.
Well, we got one who's definitely passing first before we get to one of the questionable grades. Actually, no, that's not true. I thought that was Lehkonen. I'm blind. That's Natchez. This might be you passed because you're a hockey player on the defensive side. Marty Natchez. We did get to see a little bit more of him in the Avs system than a Brock Nelson. Obviously can skate like the wind. Another guy who doesn't PK, though. This guy is a winger, a true winger as well. Not playing any center for you. Can you get him to C tier for me? Can you get Marty Necas to C tier defensively?
No, he doesn't engage physically. He puck watches a lot, stands around a lot. For me, it's an easy D. I think this is an easy, no question about it. Not a good defensive wing.
Yeah, and that's been the knock on him right in the playoffs and everything. And we all know that you have to check or you won't win. And it's just so good offensively, and he plays with Nate, and he doesn't have to do much of what we're talking about. But when he is caught in his own end, it's not good at times. And again, practice makes perfect. I guess he doesn't get a lot of practice because he isn't such a great offensive player. But yeah, this is what I'll say about Marty. I don't think you really need to be very smart to play. To be conscious about your defensive side, you just have to apply yourself. Yeah, that's it.
You just have for effort.
Yeah, and I don't think Marty really applies himself on that. You know what I mean? I think it just goes out the window. This is what I've seen. You know what I mean? So I think if he can bring that up to be a more conscious player about his 200-foot game, because it's not hard to do. You just have to apply yourself. That's it. I think he applies himself. He could jump himself up on that ladder, but right now he's on the green for sure. Green line.
Yeah, I don't think there's any argument. The only argument I would make is moving into our next player on the list, which is Nathan MacKinnon. I'm also putting Nathan MacKinnon pretty cleanly in D tier on the defense, but I would make a potential argument that MacKinnon might be more effective defensively than Necas.
Oh, I think he is. No, I think he is. Okay. But yeah, I mean, if hearing those guys, and they're all passing grades. And again, Nate's the best player in the NHL, right? And let's not kid ourselves. He wins the MVP. He's the best player. But we're talking about that's not his forte, because that's not. Let's put it this way: it's not a big part of his game because he's in the offensive zone all the time. So but to say that he's elite, like you'd be lying to yourself. And again, this is probably the only thing we would ever not say, but we would say bad about him is that's not his forte. You know what I mean? And this is the show that where he doesn't get a good grade. Everything else he gets an unbelievable grade because he's the best player in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, just the reality of Nathan MacKinnon. All right, he goes in D tier with Necas. We get some good ones coming up, but before we do that, we need to pay a few more bills. So let's jump over. Pay our bills. Certainly Nathan MacKinnon isn't paying any bills in the defensive zone. He gets paid to be in the other zone. So hopefully I can be in the offensive zone as well here. So should be a topic of discussion, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we are brought to you by Empire Today. You need a good foundation for your defense. You also need good floors for your home. That's where Empire Today jumps in. You can get with Empire Today and get up to $350 off your new floors with code DNVR. Get with them. They are the flooring experts. They only carry the best products, hardwood, tile, carpet, you name it. They've got your next flooring there, and it's not the junk that some other stores carry. They've got the good stuff. They've got professional installers. And head over to empiretoday.com/DNVR. You can use their online tools to see what the flooring might look like, but you can also schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. They'll send a guy out. They can come to your house. They'll bring carpet swatches or hardwood swatches. You can see it in your space with the colors, with your furniture, with all that good stuff. And then you can decide to get your floors. So head over to empiretoday.com/DNVR. Get that $350 discount. Yes, you heard that right. $350 discount with code DNVR over at Empire Today. Of course, restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/DNVR for full details. Or, of course, you can always call 1-800-588-2300 Empire. We got the phone number eventually. We got it there eventually. Once you've got your new floors installed, make sure you're treating yourself a little bit. Look, it's the hot summer. You need some good old dipping sauce and some chicken fingers. That is where Raising Cane's comes into play. Raising Cane's right now partnering with the big Snoop Dogg, Snoop D-O-O-G. Celebrate National Chicken Finger Day this upcoming Sunday, July 27th. Celebration won't be something you want to miss because Canes is giving 1 free chicken finger with the purchase of a box of Congo. That's a whole extra chicken finger for your dipping pleasure all day long on July 27th. So be sure to set your reminders and get ready for the best holiday celebration out there. Check out RaisinCanes.com to learn more and see you at Canes Sunday, July 27th. Raising Canes chicken fingers, one love. All right. Third period? Yeah, third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, ranking Avs forwards by defensive ability. This one is interesting because we don't have recent statistics to go off of, but before the injury, Landeskog was one of the Avs' best defensive forwards, right? So how are you rating him given the small amount we got to see in the playoffs and based on his history?
I'll go at S. He's Landeskog. No doubt about it.
Ooh, I don't know if I can go A. I can go A. I don't know if I can go S.
He's still going to be an incredibly smart player. We saw it even in the postseason. He'd missed 3 years, and defensively, he didn't look like he was uncomfortable or lost the majority of that time. I'm still going S. I think that's going to be the area of his game that I'm most comfortable with next season. It's his offensive game that I'm more worried about than him in his own zone.
Yeah, I have to agree. For me, he's elite. You know, that's when we drafted him. We knew he knew how to play the game right away. You could see it at the junior level. He knew how to play the game right away. He was conscious of what I'm talking about, and I still think he is that. I still think he's special. You know, I mean, not to be stupid with the S, but he is special, and he's not the most prolific goal scorer. He's not the fastest skater. He's not the best fighter. You know what I mean? But what he is he applies himself, and right there, that he applies himself every time he's on the ice, in every situation he's on the ice. That's why for me that's elite, and that's why I got him at S. You know that's it's a big part of his game.
For me, it feels like I still need a little bit of proof of concept that his skating can get him to where he needs to be with the knee, obviously, and over a longer term. But both of you are putting him in S. I'm good. We can override my concerns and having him in A and put him in S tier next to LOC.
Yay!
Yeah. Democracy might be dying, but it's not dead yet, brother.
At least when it comes to tier lists, it's still alive.
That's right.
Next, another quality defensive winger on the Avs, though, in Arturi Lehkonen. I don't know that he's going to live up to the Landeskog acumen of his career, but in Landy's absence, he had become Mr. Fix-It on the Colorado Avalanche. So how high are you guys willing to go on Lehkonen?
Also S.
Okay.
I have him as the best defensive forward on the Avalanche. His hockey IQ is off the charts, and he is, unlike LOC, he is doing it against the absolute best competition that the opposing teams have to offer on a regular basis. He's one of Nathan MacKinnon's most common line mates. We know that Bednar likes to put MacKinnon against opposing top lines. Just an easy S for me. He's too smart. He's too effective against the absolute best competition. I don't know how you could argue for anything else.
Well, for me, you stole the line there. Like he's the best. Yeah, in my book, he's the best the Avs have. You're talking about a two-way forward. It doesn't get any better than that. Somebody said Yuri Lehtinen earlier. It's exactly Nicholas Sundstrom, former Ranger. If everybody San Jose Shark. Same thing. For some reason, those Swedes, those Finns, they know how to play for the most part. Throw Patrick Laine out the door. But Lecky is. It's I don't know what to tell you. He's mastered the art of the simple play. That's it, and he's figured it out. And you know what you're getting. So where the trust factor comes with any coach, it's like you put him out there. You know he's not going to put himself in a tough situation. You know he's not going to put anyone in a tough situation, and you know that he's going to be there to rescue someone in a tough situation. because he's that good. He's that smart. For me, he's bar none the best two-way forward the Avalanche have. It's like he's elite, and that's why he's a hot commodity and that's why the Avs went and got him before that cup run there, and that was the right play to do. And I thought that was a cheap get for Chris McFarland and the Avalanche.
I'm good with him in S. I'm not going to argue that. My one knock on him, I will say, LOC, Parker Kelly, Joel Kiviranta all played more penalty kill than he did. And based on per game rates, Val Nichushkin also penalty killed more than he did last year.
Yeah.
So a little bit lighter usage on the PK side if we're talking about a defensive forward.
Yeah, and I think that the only reason that is the case is because he is typically on Nathan MacKinnon's line, and so they are saving him for way heavier 5v5 usage. But I would agree with you. Like, if you are looking to nitpick one thing about his profile, it's that.
Okay, I'm good with him in S then.
Same page.
All right, after Lehkonen, this one. Well, let me just ask you guys where you guys stand on Parker Kelly, because I think we all believe in his quality defensive ability, but how do you balance that with the winger versus center conversation?
I mean, he's a way better wing than center. I feel like that's going to be the subtitle of every podcast we do until they get a clear-cut fourth-line center. But
Yeah.
he's still a very good defensive forward. It's really like the main selling point of Parker Kelly as an NHL player is he's good defensively. I don't have him in S, I'd have him in A. I think he's a good defensive player. He's okay on the PK. It sounds funny to say. He's okay on the PK. He's all right. He's not incredible on it. He's solid. Great intangibles, right? That don't really play a huge role in this, but yeah, Parker Kelly, I think I'd have him in A.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and my big thing for him is his willingness, right? He's got big ones. He's not afraid of the puck. Like, he's not afraid to get. It's not fun. It's not easy. I'm telling you right now, it's not easy to do it day in and day out, and you need to do that to play. You know what I mean? So that's why he's got. He can go 10, 12 games without a goal. No coach is ever going to complain about that. You know, so he's got big ones. He's got a big will to do the little things that people don't want to do, and yeah, I think he's an A. That's why it keeps him in the league, and that's why he got that extension.
I'm good with Parker Kelly in A. There's a couple of things I want to touch on with it. One, is he worse as a center? Yes. Parker Kelly,
yeah,
being worse as a center, is still a dude full sail, blocking 5 shots in the defensive zone, giving every inch he has in the defensive zone. Now, if you want to talk about his ability as a center to help the Avs getting going the right direction, I think there's some fair concerns there. And that's why he's a better winger, because he's not going to drive that puck out of the zone. But he's still, as he talked about, so much of defense is simply about effort. And he's giving 110% every millisecond that he's in the defensive zone. He's always there and doing it to the best of his ability. And then the other side of this is the reason I like Parker Kelly in A is because of that effort. Because that is you're getting the absolute maximum out of Parker Kelly with that. And when you compare that, we have Nichushkin in B. If Nichushkin gave you Parker Kelly's effort, he's an easy S tier. You wouldn't even think about it. So I think that makes sense in my head to balance this list by putting Kelly in A.
Yeah, I think if he was a full-time center and we weren't ever talking about him as a wing, I would consider him at B, but he is. We did see him at wing, and we know how much better he is there. Frankly, he's much better along the wall than in the middle of the ice, so I am hopeful that they just listen to us. Please, just listen to us. Use your eyes, use your data. Please keep him at wing.
Yeah.
Next up is that 4C, or as it stands now, probably the 3C for the Colorado Avalanche in Jack Drury. You have a guy who is at present the face-off guy on the team. He's the only guy that can consistently win face-offs. So that's got to be a feather in his cap. But again, he's going to run into some of the same stuff as LOC. He's going to be playing lower quality of competition quite a bit. He's a big penalty killer. How high can we go on Jack Drury?
He's another guy that I'm comfortable putting at A. I think he's really good defensively, but I don't think he's elite defensively. His work on the PK leaves a little to be desired, and I think is what is primarily keeping him out of S, is that he's a fine PK guy, but not great. And the faceoffs help him. It's fine, but I'm really not. I can't. He's not as good as the guys in the S tier, and I would say very similar to Parker Kelly. Big effort guy, really smart.
If Parker Kelly was actually a center, he'd be Jack Drury.
That's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I like his, and he knows it too. He's a smart kid. Because he knows that in order to play, in order to differentiate himself from other guys, he has to be good at that. Because, like I said, old people out there, Stefan Yell, like if you remember a good old Yeller, right? People don't realize, like he was scoring 5-6 goals a year for the Avs, but you look at his stats and you got 100 points in juniors. He's a 100-point guy in juniors. You have to you get to the NHL. Everyone's good. Everyone works hard. Everyone, so you have to figure out what's gonna make you different than others. You know what I mean? And I think Jack Drury's figured it out, and he's figuring it out as he goes. You know what I mean? That he's not going to be this high-end offensive guy, even though he does have offense in him. But he's going to have to figure out where does he fit in that nest, and where does he fit in that pie, and where does he need to take extra, food for the pie, where it's on the defensive side of things, it's on the PK side of things, it's on the face-off side of things, and I think he gets it, and I think that's why he's more than a throw-in in that Mikko deal. He's more than a throw-in. He's a good piece and a good valuable piece of that trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think he establishes himself in the A tier again based on face-offs alone. There's a 56% face-off guy last year, and the Avs desperately needed that. So I'm good with him in A. This brings us to our last everyday Avalanche player, at least locked in at this point, in Ross Colton. Has some pretty decent statistics defensively underlying. But another guy, is he a center? Is he a wing? How much has he benefited from playing on the wing with really high-end talent? He doesn't PK. I don't know. This is a guy that I really don't have a good grasp on where he should fall in this list.
Yeah, I feel like as a wing, I'd probably have him as like a B, and as a center, I'd have him at C. I don't know. There's no middle ground for us to put him, so we got to pick one of those spots. But better as a wing than as a center defensively, which is why I think the Avalanche keep him there.
I like the way you said it there. He gets a double grade, you know what I mean? Because he was asked to play double A. I agree. And I think you're bang on with that. I think he's smart enough. I think he's figuring it out. You know what I mean? I think you put him with McKinnon. He had an unbelievable month there, or whatever it was, a few weeks with him, right? That's where he's like, oh, I have some offense, you know what I mean? But then he was put in different situations afterwards. But yeah, I do believe he's in between. Like he's a BC. You're right. Oh God, I can't believe I said BC. He's a CB. But he as a center, he is next to Brock, and as a winger, he would be next to Val. No, I like that assessment. I like that, and I like, by the way, Max's interaction in the chat, because everything has to do with food, and I love it. He's rating everybody and comparing sandwich. So Thank you for that. I've been reading on the right. I love it.
All right. Well, this tier list might end up being a ham sandwich at the end of it, but we can put him in
Yes.
B. I called Drury the 3C, so let's call Colton the wing, and we'll put him in B.
right.
The rest of these guys on this list, I don't think we actually have to put in the tier list. These are secondary guys, including Ivan, Jason Polin. In order, Gavin Brindley, Alex Barré-Boulet, Matt Steinberg, TJ Tynan, and what's Bardakov's first name? I've already forgotten. Sakar.
Barkey.
Thank you.
Barkey.
I want to talk about these guys as a group because these guys are going to get opportunities this year to play. There's a decent chance someone like a Bardakov or an Ivan might even make the team out of camp with LOC injured. To stick in the NHL, for one of these guys to stay, what tier do they need to make? Is it B? Do they need to at least be providing a B here?
Well, and I think to answer your question, look at this list. You've got 3
not providing ultra high-end offense. Yeah.
Exactly. 3 of their 5 best guys that we have on this tier list are in your bottom 6. And so I think that's how you make the NHL and you stick. If you're not good enough with the puck, you're not going to be able to score very many points. You need to find something that you're really good at. You need to have an avenue here. So it's got to be defensive. It's got to come defensively for these guys. And it has to be at least, at the very bare minimum, it has to be a B. But I think it should really be an A because that's how you stand out. That's how you get reps. That's how you get a coaching staff's trust when you're a limited bottom 6 guy and an uncertain. We don't really know with any of these guys. Ivan is probably the most known quantity at this point as an NHL player. Just he's got games.
He has 40 games. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 40 games. It's weird to say. And I wouldn't have any of these guys above a B right now. Ivan's really smart, but the effort I think isn't like he's not an all-out high motor guy. He's just a really smart, cerebral player. Jason Polin is more of an all-out, but doesn't have the hockey smarts. Gavin Brindley and Alex Barré-Boulet and TJ Tynan, for me, all those guys are kind of
offensive leaning
right now.
For
They'd
sure,
all be they would be in the D. In the D range. And then Matt Steinberg, I would probably have as a C with the possibility of going up. The smarts are okay.
there, for sure.
Yeah, the effort, and I think if you put him at wing and not at center, you like where it could go. But defensively, he doesn't have like offensively, defensively, he doesn't stand out at either. His physicality is what is why he's here. That's his standout skill. It's why Eric and I are going to spend all training camp gushing over him, because Steinberg just runs into stuff. He puts a jolt of life into any game that he's in. He might only play 10 minutes, if that, but you feel those 10 minutes because he's out there doing something crazy. He draws his team into it. He brings that passion, that energy that the Avalanche certainly could use at times where they get a little sleepy. But defensively, I mean, I would have him as a C. And frankly, Zakhar Bardakov, I've got no idea. He's played 0 games in North America. His reputation from the KHL, he's got good size. He plays with good physicality, but he's not offensively good enough to be in a top 6. We just saw with Nikolai Kovalenko, if you don't have the chops defensively, you're gonna struggle to find a job in North America. So I really have no idea. I really have no idea with Bardakov.
Yeah, same here. I don't know. But all those guys, if they're going to play any minutes, they got to be at the level of B there, or they won't play. That's just a matter of fact. You're talking about Avalanche aspirations of winning a cup. This is not the Chicago Blackhawks, San Jose Sharks. It doesn't matter. You learn you learned the hard way there. You know what I mean? Oh, that was a tough play there. You got scored against, and be better tomorrow. That's not how it works for the Avalanche, right? They're in a different window. Those guys, in order to play, will have to be at the B level. We saw that last year. Ivan gained their trust. right? He did, because he started playing more and then got put more in the situation. My point of earlier of being a goal scorer like Yeller or whatever it was, Jared Pullen, he scored 30-plus goals in college, guys. I don't know what to tell you, but not many people every year do that. I'm telling you, like, he scored 30 goals or 30 something.
I think
whatever. So that, what I'm trying to say is, so you learn to go play in the American League. You learn to go learn that part of the game that you're in college, or you're on the first PP, you're on the first line. In order to do that, that's why the American League is crucial for guys like Ivan, Pullen, Steinberg. And then you figure it out. Look at LOC his first couple years, right, in the American League, trying to figure out, where would I fit? Where would I go? And I think that's important for those guys to really figure it out. You really got to put the sexiness aside, and you really got to put like the hoo-hoo factor and yay, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to go do the dirty work, and I'm going to see what I can do, and I'm going to master the art of the simple play. And then do it in a consistent manner that we all know this is so hard to accomplish and to attain. The word is consistency. It's hard to attain consistency in the NHL. That is the toughest thing to do for a non-NHL, everyday NHL player. And there's a reason why they're down there. It's because they're learning for their brain to be reacting all the time to the play. So I think some of those guys, like you said, Steinberg, I can't wait to see him again, because I do believe that they missed his bite last year, but when he was gone. And yeah, I don't care if it's 5 minutes a night. I said it, I'll say it again. I used to tell Joe all the time, it's not easy to play 5 minutes a night. I'm telling you, it's hard. It is hard.
I'm going to be the Steinberg hater on this show. I guess that's fine. I'll be the hater. But I think the perfect example of what we're talking about is Ross Colton. Can you be a 40-point guy, which is essentially what Ross Colton has been across the course of his career? If you can do that, okay, your defense doesn't have to be perfect. It still needs to be decent, but you don't have to be A-S tier if you can give a guy 40 points. If you can give a guy 60 points, all right, then you're Brock Nelson. Then your defense can be a little bit rough around the edges.
So, you're dropping 30-goal seasons, 25-goal seasons. You can be a little iffy defensively.
Yeah. So balance in all things, I suppose, in that regard. But the reality is, if you're a bottom six player, you're certainly not getting to 60 points, and it's going to be real tough to even get to 40 unless you're more of a middle six than a bottom six. So that defensive stuff has to be on point if you want to play every day. That's just the reality of the NHL. I don't know if we were over time or not with our tech difficulties earlier in the show, but it is time to wrap things up, I suppose. So any final thoughts on our tier list on defensive acumen when it comes to forwards for the Avalanche boys?
Not listed on there. If he resigns, I would put Kiviranta as an A, reinforcing the point that if you're going to stick in the NHL, A or S, like, you've got to be really good defensively.
Yep. Good point.
And then you're making me do this because we didn't say his name once, but meow.
There you go. Bring the cat back. That's what he wants. We are out of here for today. We appreciate all y'all hanging out, living through the technical difficulties. We are back tomorrow, so keep tuning in, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Help us out. We'll see you soon. Until then, this has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.